what happens when you're on a bad team. We'll kind of touch on a little bit of all of that during this talk. Open the floor up to you, Brandon. What's been your experience in being a part of? Let's just start with teams first. What does being a part of a team mean to you?
Well, I love the topic that we're going to dive into tonight because I've strived to have a team since I got into this business.
Yeah.
My introduction to the entertainment industry was Evolution.
Right.
It was the first like real team with like-minded goals where we got together and we had an agenda, we had an idea, and we were all, working plus or minus to get to that goal. And since that particular team is, broken apart and we've broken up into different little groups and moved on and grown into other teams and still working together with the original team, I've had good experiences and I've had really bad experiences. Some of the good experiences were because of decisions that I made, and some of the bad experiences were because of decisions that I've made. So I'm all for a team if we can get it to work, And I like how you mentioned sports teams have a coach.
Yeah.
Because I feel like in every team that I've been in, somebody at some point stands up and becomes the coach. And if somebody else stood up to become a coach, then that makes it very interesting to get different people trying to run the show. And, like, I don't want to call out any names, but,
Right.
There's been some times where somebody led the team really well. There's been times when that leader, oftentimes myself, did not lead the team very well.
So let's talk about when it's good. You mentioned it goes well, it goes not so well, or I'm paraphrasing. But you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't type of scenario. Let's talk about the nut part. Let's do that. What are some of the things that are good when you're on a team that is running like a well-oiled machine?
Well, from a filmmaking standpoint, I'm still in that position where trying to hustle and make it, still trying to reach that next level. It's sort of like as a musician when you're putting that album together and then your plan is to shop it or do whatever you got to do. You're still in that trying to get over the hump to the next step. And something that a lot of filmmakers do is they focus on smaller productions, and then they'll try to take those productions and shop them around to get funding for a larger project. But with filmmaking in particular, it's very difficult to be like a one-person army because there's so many different elements that go into filmmaking. And I've tried to do it all by myself, and I feel like those projects have suffered because of it. So I've struggled to find team members that will ride it out with me and complete some of these scripts. And man, when you get that team together, man, like we've tackled films. Like when I moved here and I put a team together, it was one of the first times that like I had a production where, I was almost the coach. I wasn't really teaching anybody anything, but I was kind of running the show to get that production complete.
Yeah.
And having people with me that I could rely on to show up and complete that job, it's night and day between films that I did 10 years ago versus what I'm doing now. And even though the people that I'm working with were the same age for the most part, so we've been doing this for the same amount of time, and our skills have dramatically increased from where we started. But setting aside just the skill that it takes to pull off, the production that you're going for, just having those people there to stand beside you to do their part to get that job done, it's night and day. You can look at the shots and go, well, your lighting is better now, and that's why it looks better now. Well, no. Instead of trying, I tried to create a style where I had less shots in my production because I didn't have anybody to do anything. And so when I would write out this shot list and there's nobody to run camera. There's nobody to run lights. I have to set a microphone up on a tripod just so that I can get the audio done.
Right.
You know, I'm going to spend hours just getting 1 or 2 shots together. We're now at the end of the day, we've barely even started.
Right.
So I started creating a shot list that requires less cuts. So my shots would last longer so that I wouldn't have to do so much by myself. But now there are people that will show up and they will help out and they will hold camera and they will hold lights and they will hold microphones. Some of them, they love the camera work. So they'll set all that up on their own. So I don't even have to worry about it. I can focus on some of the other stuff. And we can incorporate more of these shots. So I'm getting more footage. So the overall productions just run smoother, they run quicker, and they turn out better. And it's all because there are other people there to help out and do their part.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. You know, being in a band versus being a solo act is literally night and day. You know, even though you're still in the same arena, like you said, it's less work. You can assign projects for different people to do in regards to helping to further along the project. No one man has to be responsible for everything, and it allows you to move, you know, faster than you normally would if it's by yourself. You can expand your reach. There's so many different elements associated with being a part of a team that's like-minded.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It can be that there's nothing greater than having a group. And I play a lot of 2K. And last year's 2K, they had Bill Simmons. He was the guest, I guess, color commentary in some of the basketball games and stuff like that. So he would come on, and anybody that's not familiar with Bill Simmons, he's a sports analyst. He's a huge Boston Celtics fan. I think he's from Boston, if I'm not mistaken. But he's a sports analyst. He's written for some top publications, and he covers a lot of NBA games as far as that's concerned. So they invited him on to do some color commentary on some of the games in NBA 2K. And one thing he said in one of the games that I remembered, he said, you get you 6 or 7 people that can work well with you, you know, there's pretty much nothing you can't accomplish. You know, and I'm paraphrasing again, just in case somebody has a game that ain't what the fuck he said. He said, you know what I'm saying? But the point is, that's what he meant. You know, he has about 6 or 7 guys or girls that work with him, and he's like, that suffices, and it's enough for him to accomplish the goals that he shoots for in what he's doing. And that's great when you have circumstances like that where people, the egos aren't involved, and it is there's no I in team mentality. You can't find it better. But what happens when you got a team that ain't so cohesive?